All right, little update on the Nova. This is just a short video to get people caught up on this car because people keep asking me about it. Gonna have the giveaway video coming up this weekend, so stay tuned for that. Be watching for that. And if you want to enter for the $100 giveaway, make sure just to put your name, say I want to be entered in the $100 giveaway, or enter me in the next contest, or anything, and we'll put your name in a box and we'll draw you, and you're gonna win $100 for nothing. So it's a good deal. Go ahead and enter the contest, and good luck. Little update on the Nova. We got pretty much this thing buttoned up. Got the cooling fan on, got all the hoses, got the belt, got the fuel system all wrapped up, got everything wired. We went to start it the other night and had a little issue. The distributor is no good. The distributor is the one used piece in the ignition system. It is an MSD distributor, but apparently the pickup in the distributor is no good. So I had to order a new distributor. That should be here in the next day or two. I ordered a line lock and some more a proportion valve, a few things to finish up the brake system, and hopefully this thing will be running soon. So it is coming along though. Got all the switches done and stuff. I went old school, unlike my son, you know. He wanted me to buy all kinds of fancy panels and stuff, but that's the fan, that's the fuel pump, and that's the tranny cooler fan. So those are the basic three right there, I guess. Got the ignition on the other side, and I set it up with a push button. The factory fuse panel will be doing the factory stuff, headlights, turn signals, brake lights, stuff like that. Tried to make everything separate from the factory system. That, you know, would be detrimental if it failed. Working on the rear brakes right now. Got the brake kit in. Don't know how the light's going to be here because the light's pretty bad in the shop. I need to get the lights put up. Had somebody offer to come over and help, and I would love some help putting the lights up. My son sort of lost interest, and the wire got pulled down over there. A piece got pulled out of the box. So yeah, it's just going backwards at this point. I definitely need to have a light party or something. I would be willing to buy pizza or pay for some help, whatever. I guess, you know, people say you got to ask if you need it, and I definitely need some help. If somebody's willing to do it out there or help me do it, whatever. It's hard for me to get up on a ladder by myself. I'm a little shaky already, and you know, doing it by myself with nobody here is sort of dangerous, so that's why it's dark in here. But anyway, I do have the stuff to do it, so if anybody's interested and coming by a weekend or something, let me know, and we'll set something up. And I'll throw you some dollars and buy you some lunch, and we'll have a light party. So back to the brakes here. Went with a Wildwood, however you say it. This is the non-emergency brake setup, the basic drag light kit. This kit comes with some shims and some bolts, and you will have to shim the caliper location to get it in the center of the rotor. I have friends that have a hard time with this, and their cars are very hard to push because the brakes drag. But I think a lot of it is, a lot of times people will buy the brake kit from like a secondary person, and they assemble the rotors onto the hats, and you know, they call it a complete kit, and put their name on it, and you don't get all the pieces. This is probably the one box you need to order if you're doing the caliper location. There's the part number 2300204, and this is a shim kit, and that allows you to put the caliper in an optimum location to the rotor. You don't want either brake pad touching the rotor when the car's, you know, going down the road in a neutral position. And if your brake pads are dragging on the rotor, then you're losing power. It's a power loss, and the whole idea behind buying light brakes is to have less rotating mass. And if you have your brake pads dragging, you sort of defeated that purpose. You'll see here the let me see if I can get a good shot of this. Shitty camera work. There's space on each side of that pad, and the pad is independent of the rotor. So that's important. You want to make sure that the rotor floats in between the pads. It's not dragging on them. Took 3 spacers on this to get it centered. You use 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom. And basically the spacer goes between this bracket Right here is where you locate the spacers, and it lets you locate the caliper on the bracket so it sits correctly over the rotor. But that's basically the kit here. Here's the other rotor or caliper. And I assembled the other hat and rotor this morning, Loctited the bolts. I need to get some safety wire. It's a good idea to incorporate safety wire in those every 3, every 2. I don't recommend doing them all at once, because if you do it all in one thing and you lose a bolt, yeah, I go like 3 bolts, 3 bolts, 3 bolts, 3 bolts. But you can do it however you want. They do recommend that you safety wire the bolts on the back of here. They are drilled, so you can do that. So probably want to take advantage of that. Safety first. But anyway, that's what's going on with this. I got to put some sealer on my fuel system. I pulled that all apart to seal all the fittings, and I think once that's done, that'll be complete. I have to make some spacers for the tranny cooler to get it off the floor. I still have to drill 4 holes in the fuel sump and get that finished up and mounted up. Hans welded the tabs on for me, but I need to drill them and mount that to the floor. I need to put a battery disconnect switch on, which I already have. I'm going to mount it back here. Thinking about putting a roll bar in the car, and if I put the bars coming to the back, I'll mount the switch on the bar and then put a rod to the back of the car where it has a lever, pull on, push off type deal. And the switch will be in the car that way. And yeah. So anyway, that's what's going on with this. It's getting there. A little closer every time. I did pick up the stuff to complete the tranny, so I can finish that up. I have my cable, and I picked up a Turbo 400 bracket kit. Comes with the lever, spacers, and the bracket for the pan. So that should work out pretty good, and shouldn't be any surprises with that. And yeah, so hopefully the only surprise will be the bad distributor, and I'm hoping maybe I can send that off the MSD and use that on a different project or whatever. But anyway, there you go, Scott in Florida. I picked this up for Scotty the other day at the junkyard. We've been talking about switching our Mustangs over to stick, but my daughter is about at the age to drive, and she has let me know that she's taking my Mustang, that it won't be my car for much longer, you know, another year. I get it. But anyway, I picked that pressure plate up. It's a center force with the I don't know what you call this, you know, that ring spins out and applies more friction on there, more pressure on the disc, and you know, it's a pretty good pressure plate. I picked that up at the junkyard for a really good deal, so I'm going to give that to Scott, and then I'm going to also give him the valve covers that were on this. I'll show you those. I think you've seen them before, but Scott's building a Nova too. So here's the valve covers. You get those, all new bolts, washers and stuff, and they got new gaskets on them. I think that's 2 factory gaskets glued together. I bought the thick Victors for this other car. And I got this Ventura here. I was telling Scott if he wanted a front clip. I got an extra front clip outside because he got a square bumper car. And this is the bumper that's going on this car, but I think I have another bumper that needs to be re-chromed. And I have all the bezels and stuff too for the front end. You know, I have 2 sets. I was going to use the better stuff for, you know, the car that I built, but these aren't really bad. They're nice, and you know, there's nothing really bad on this car. Some of the stuff's just a little shinier on the other one because it was brand new before it burned to the ground. But I do have hinges and stuff like that, so I've been trying to accumulate stuff like that if I can find anything for him to use. And then some people sent me stuff from my car that I didn't use, and I'll give them that stuff and pass that on. And yeah, we'll get him a Nova going, and we'll both have a Nova. So that's what's going on with that. I went to see Scott the other couple weekends ago. I was up there. Let me turn the camera around, say hey. Here's my ugly face. See how, you guys can go look in the mirror and see how lucky you are. But anyway, I went up to Jacksonville. I've been looking for a gasser, because I told you guys I want to build a gasser, and I'm really it's one thing I'm really excited about. I want to build a gasser, and I've been looking on Craigslist every night and looking at different places. It's got to be 67 or older, and if it's a Mustang, it's got to be 66 or older. No Camaros. It's got to be a 4-speed, and you can use a big block or a small block, but it's weight per cubic inch. And if you want to check the rules out, you can go over to the Southeast Gassers. They have a complete, pretty descriptive rules over there as far as, you know, crank center line and all the technical stuff, port size, all that stuff. And so I've been looking for a car, working on putting a motor combination together that will compete, you know, at that level. And I found a little Chevy 2, went and looked at that, and the negotiations fell apart, sort of. I talked him down because the car is really rusty and it needs 2 quarter panels, and I had that going in. I knew it was going to need, you know, $900 with the quarter panels, and there's just no way around it because of the rust on the car. The car's been restored probably about, I guess, 13 years ago and then set outside. So, you know, all the jams are rusty, you know, everywhere that you would expect water to accumulate when a car sits outside. And of course the paint job that was on the car, all the Bondo that they put on it's going bad, all the rust is popping out, it's got big holes in it. And I figured it was a perfect candidate, and I would be able to negotiate a deal and pick the car up. And I talked him down quite a bit over the phone, and when I went to look at the car, it wasn't what I was expecting when I got there. The car, it was a complete car. It had a small block 400 in it, it had turbo 350 tranny, had a 10 bolt in it, and all stuff that I don't need, which just adds to the price of the purchase. I was looking at the body, was basically what I looked at, but I did see the value in the drivetrain and the stuff that was in the car, so I made an offer. I wanted to offer a little more. I made the mistake of taking my wife with me. Never take your wife to buy a race car. But anyway, you know, we were off by $300, and I would have figured if they wanted more money, they would have just said, hey man, can you bump it up a little bit? And instead of that, they said they were just decided to keep the car, and they were gonna, you know, not sell it and wait a little while. So, you know, it was sort of wearing on me, and we drove over to see Scott and Izzy after that happened, and we were sitting around. I talked to Scott about it a little bit, and I ended up calling the people back and offering them more money, and they said that, you know, they sold it right after I left. Somebody else came by and bought it for 3 times what I offered them, which I found really hard to believe because the car's been for sale for quite a long time, and they said nobody's ever come to look at it but me. But whatever, things happen for a reason, I guess, is what my wife keeps telling me. And I was feeling sort of crappy about it. You know, I was letting it weigh on me, you know, missing the deal, and, you know, looking at the catalogs and all the shit that I missed out on. And lo and behold, old Ed of the North puts his video up, and you know, made everything a little better, gave me some perspective. There's always one person that knows the future. You know, you always think that as a person you can control your destiny and make a plan and go buy something, and then, you know, have a detailed plan on what you're going to do. And a lot of times when you make those detailed plans and you lay something out like that and you get everything in order, a certain person laughs at you and lets you know that that's not how it's going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and trust the person that can see into the future and just wait for the next car to come along. I did, the car resurfaced last weekend, and Scott and Andrea, neither one of them told me about it because, you know, they both know I'm a little crazy. So I did call the guy, and he said, no, he's not the guy. That he did buy the car, and it's not the same people. I suspect it's the same people that has the car, you know, and they're sort of giving me the runaround. But anyway, I offered the guy 3 times what I offered the last people, and you know, I didn't hear back from him. So went from one shady person to another, and there's got to be a reason that, you know, somebody doesn't want me to have that car. So that's where the Gasser's at. I thought that was sort of funny that Ed put that video up, and even funnier, we were all sitting around Scott's living room, and we were talking about, well, first thing that came up, it's funny how people always come up that are on YouTube, but we were sitting in a living room, and he has a bunch of Stoney's carvings on his wall, and I asked about those first, and then we started talking about Ed of the North, and yeah, Ed, we talk about you down here in Florida. But anyway, we were talking about Ed's, you know, thing he's been doing on Sundays, and they were talking about how they get together and they like to sit there and watch it. And you know, we were just talking about different things. And then when I got home, I saw Ed's video this weekend, and it was quite fitting. It fit the situation perfectly. So I'm sure he didn't make that video for me, but somebody weighed on his heart to make that video. So that's pretty cool. You gotta take notice when notice is due. But anyway, that's what's going on. Just a Nova, just some normal stuff around here. On a more serious note, I saw the Iceman 22. I saw his video over there. He has cancer, and he's battling that right now. You guys, if you can, please go over and give him some encouragement. Say hi to him. He's been a brother for a long time, and it's always hard to watch people go through, you know, trying times. And he put 4 videos up, and I sat and watched all 4 of them, and it was it's pretty difficult, man. The guy's been through it the last 4 or 5 years, and he continues to have to deal with stuff. So go over there, check the Iceman out, give him some encouragement, tell him you're thinking about him, and yeah. Sorry, man, Iceman. You know, he used to end every video with hang loose thing, and he doesn't want to do that anymore. He's really in a bad place right now. So the best ending I can give you, Iceman, is make every hour count, man, because you never know. Some of us know. So just make every hour matter.